not sure anymore. This is my old one.
It doesn't matter.
It just sucks that it doesn't work.
It doesn't work either or.
Let's just make sure it works.
Checking connection.
Now it's checking connections. Oh, now we're live. Okay, yay. So I don't know if I need to turn the volume up. How does that work?
Volume of what?
Of the phone. Does it works? The volume just always works?
For them?
Yeah.
I think so.
I was just gonna...
It's the microphone.
Oh.
The microphone volume is up.
So the volume's always up. Okay, hello Facebook. Hello the gram. It's food for thought. We're late. I'm late. It's all right. It's my show. I can do what I want.
Do what I want.
I do what I want. Come in, say hey. How am I? I'm just pinning a post. How to fight smarter. Because guess what? We're going to have conflicts in life. And the people we live with are our best teachers, yeah? Mm-hmm. So there's ways to fight with those that we live with. How do I pin that? Oh, what are you doing to the lights? There you go. So, hello Facebook, what are you doing?
What are you just doing? Like setting the mood.
Setting the mood. It is cold.
So yeah,
it is cold.
How about this? This is too bright. You see the spot? Look at that.
What? Show me. Yeah, that's.
Well, no, that's too bright.
Yeah.
So if you lower it here, it gets this. This
is awesome. So we're still figuring out the tech stuff. We're still lit.
We're lit.
Look at that. Put it right over us.
Over here.
What are you doing? We will figure this out. So as he's figuring out the lighting, when you come in, say hey. Let us know where you're watching from. The gram, same with you. I got Mark here tonight.
Hello.
It's been a long time.
It's because I got a shiny ball spot.
You got a shiny ball. I told you we should just use the Diva lights.
Okay, I'll put on the
No,
Diva
then we're going to be blind with our glasses. That's not going to work. There's no winning. So anyways. But you got a nice beard going, so that's nice. So wherever you're coming in, say hey. Let us know you're here tonight. We're not going to take a lot of your time. Let us know if you can hear us good. Facebook, Instagram. It is Monday. It's Monday? It's Monday. Monday Food for Thought. Guest, Mark.
Hello.
You're so cute. I was cold and now I'm hot. I was cold and now I'm hot. Ooh, take it out. Take it out. Take it up on Facebook. Okay, so we wanted to jump on because we feel that relationshiping could be hard sometimes. And I shared a little...
Did you just invent a word there?
I make words up all the time.
Relationshiping?
If I put it in a sentence, it is a word.
So it'd be like relationshipping?
Relationshiping is hard sometimes. And I think that in our day and age of swipe right, left, whatever it is, I don't know.
Like you don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You better not know either. Or even just like, maybe it's not even just our day and age. I think that there's always a time in our lives where we maybe look at what other people have and we start to question what we have. Or perhaps you feel like, man, this really sucks and their grass seems greener. Maybe it's greener because they water it.
Usually.
Yeah, usually it's greener because they water it. Or it's fake.
Yeah,
it's one of two things.
It could be good manure.
Oh my God, I love it. So we wanted to jump on to just share how to grow stronger in a relationship. Not that we're experts by any means.
Mm-hmm.
This year we want to start talking more deep stuff about relationship.
An expert of something is done a lot of understanding of. I guess if you call yourself an expert, I'm not saying you're done learning something, but you're high enough on the food chain to say that you've learned a lot, and I don't think we're even close to being.
But we're gonna share.
But we do know
from our
that there's stuff happening. That it's gonna keep happening for the rest of our lives, right? We're gonna keep learning this stuff.
Keep learning and growing
until we die.
Yeah.
And we'll never be an expert. There's no such thing as expert for this kind of stuff. The only thing is it's an awareness that you develop on.
Yeah.
I would say.
So we just want to talk about relationship-ing. We're going to just share our experiences because... Relationship-ing. Because this weekend it's going to be 21 years that we're together. And they weren't all pretty. This weekend was not pretty.
No, we didn't. It wasn't.
Saturday was not our best. I was not my highest self on Saturday.
We both weren't. No.
We both weren't our highest self. So this is why we wanted to jump on, because I want to start talking more about. Listen, rough patches in relationships are normal, but if we can help another couple out, or maybe you're single or not, whatever. If we can help somebody else. Take these strategies, so even if you're single, you can still take what we're going to share today and apply it to your everyday life. Why? Growth. Look at his beard. So anyways, first and foremost, there was a time, like Saturday, where we weren't our highest selves, our best selves. And what we mean by that is we've been working a lot on a relationship like hardcore since 2017 when life got hard AF. We had to unpack a lot of things about ourselves that were no longer working. So let's just start it all off from the get-go. Hollywood love is not real love, people, okay? That is fantasy. Real love is not always going to be like intimate and like sparks flying and all that stuff, right? You get to the cozy comfort stuff, and then you get to the just not appreciating all the time, and these can lead to other issues. So the big myth is that it doesn't take another person to complete you. That is the biggest BS lie ever. You are whole. You are whole, girlfriend, all by yourself. And sir. If I called them girlfriends, what would you guys
Girlfriend.
do? Girlfriend. Women, you are whole as you is. Men, same thing. You are whole as you is. So it's not two halves to come together and make a whole person. That makes no sense to anybody. It is, I'm whole, you whole, we get together, we gotta figure out a lot of our...
There's a third hole that has to happen.
Oh yes, the third hole, where we gotta kind of figure out things, because we can't always be stuck together like that, right? Like, that would not work. That would not like you might like it a little bit.
We'd have to get a second toilet side by side.
Yeah, that would not, okay. So we can't always be stuck together, okay? So there's you, there's me, and then there's a space here. Yeah. Why? Because when there's a little bit of a space here, it creates more independence. Yeah, right? So it creates more space. So it's like it allows for more independence. It allows for more autonomy. It allows for more space.
Self-development. Self-interest.
Yeah.
Selfishness. We throw selfishness around like it's a bad thing. It's really not. It's allowing yourself to...
reflect on
allow yourself to allow yourself. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Being selfish, she had a long struggle with that. She felt selfish all her life with stuff, and it would keep her from doing things. And she would always ask me, "Is this selfish of me? Is this selfish of me?" Selfish? I'm like, "Yes, it is."
But do it.
What's the problem?
You do you. The thing is that when you allow yourself, and we speak because we've done lots of counseling, We've done couples counseling, we've done individual counseling. I think everybody should have a professional talk to them. Why? Because we all come with certain stuff that happens in our life, our past, some trauma, some stories, things we create in our head that are no longer serving us, and how we choose to show up in the relationship based on what we perceive it to be, like Saturday. You show up in the fight with a narrative in your head that, you know, oh, I'm not good enough again, and oh, I pissed him off again, and oh, he's gonna leave me, right? And he had the same narrative.
Yeah, I got hurt, so I left, and then I'm like, here I go leaving.
Drive away in the car.
Driving away.
Which again, space. But it was a little bit, it was hard, but fights happen, and we want to talk about how to fight smarter so that you can learn to remove the emotions out of it. So let's get into it. First thing that you need to be doing is personal development, 100%. What is personal development, Mark?
Well,
let's start
since you've asked.
Let's talk about the
personal
Enneagram.
Development for me. Oh, you want to talk about that right away?
Yeah, do you.
Well, everybody, like, personal development, that's just having an awareness that you're working on yourself.
Yes.
Right? That there's...
That maybe there's other ways to think and be.
Yeah, like going to the gym is personal development. Reading a book, you name it. It's got everything to do with spending time on yourself, about yourself, for whatever
getting to know yourself.
Well, you need to be able to spend time with yourself.
Yes. And I know
you need
for
that
myself,
space that's so darn important. First of all, you need to be surrounded by it, or at least have the ability to make yourself surrounded by it when you need to.
Yeah. And for myself, I never allowed myself space ever. I didn't like to be alone with myself. I liked to distract myself. And now I've come in the last few years where I actually wanted. I want to be alone sometimes, just in my thoughts. And it's healthy. So personal development, yes. And here is something that you can all do right now. We are big on the Enneagram, so I'm not sure if anybody knows what that is. There are 9 personality types, but there are subtypes. And you can go to any site. I would say EnneagramInstitute.com. It's free. I don't go pay anything. You can get free stuff.
Well, just for the information. Yeah.
And you do a little quiz. And based on your answers, you answer it as authentically and as truthfully as possible. You get to see what kind of a type personality you are. So I'm a 7. And the 7 is an enthusiast.
Yeah.
He's a 2.
I'm a 2.
Which is the helper. So based on where you fall in that circle, you get to see what your number is, what your type is when it's in a healthy state and when it's in an unhealthy state. So when I'm healthy, I go to 5.
So the name of the type you are, what's it based on? No, but I mean, like, is that the healthy you?
Yeah.
So there's like a healthy you.
Yeah.
Which would be the name of what you are.
Yeah.
And then there's the unhealthy you, which is somebody else's
unhealthy number, because there's 9 types.
So that's right. There's 9 types, but there's an unhealthy.
We all have unhealthy, and there's not one number that's better than the other. No. Don't go thinking like, it's not that at all.
No, we're all susceptible to other, like, the dynamic between her and I wouldn't be the same between because of a 5 and a 2 and a 5, a 2 and a 7.
Yeah.
The dynamic between us is not the same between 2 other numbers or 1 and another number. If we would be couples with let's say a different number, the direction of the personal growth would be different as a couple, because as individuals we have our strengths and weaknesses. The idea between the Enneagram is to find out who you are, and if you're looking at it from a couple, now you know there's a little dynamic there of it's pinpointing what needs to get worked on.
Yes.
So if it would have been if it would have been 7 with a 3, it would have been different.
Different.
These 2 people would have to work at it a bit differently, different approaches than what the 5 and the 7. But before you have that like thought process instilled on you, so that means looking up Enneagram, finding out, read all of them, read all 9 of them, look at the star,
make sure that you get typed properly,
look at the star and look at who interacts with what. Just put that extra 2 minutes of your life in there to get further understanding, and you'll start getting this idea of, okay, like, if there's anything to be done here, it's a new reality that you can start instilling in your life. And it's like, okay, at least now you're conscious that there's something to work out here. Because just enduring your partner or enduring your family member or enduring whoever you're around is not good enough. It's not going to bring you joy. You'll never get to that place where you're happy with the person you're involving yourself with or you're surrounding yourself with, until you actually have identified what you're really dealing with. And the Enneagram solution, I would say, is it helps you get there. Yeah.
And another thing is, it's not another person to make you happy ever. So you don't get in a relationship so that the other person can complete you, make you happy. No, you got to do that on your own, and they can just, make it even more so. So the Enneagram, what's important about that is once you know what your number is, what your type is, and make sure that you get typed correctly, then you can understand what your core drives are, your core motives, what your core fears are, and you can it just helps take that emotionality and make it deeper, and you can understand where you're going. So we talk about fighting better. Yes. And fighting, I mean, when you're fighting, it's because you both have ideas that are clashing. And a big motto in my house, you ask any of my kids, my 9-year-old will repeat this: you can choose to be happy or you can choose to be right. And a lot of the times it's not to win the battles, but I know for myself, when I'm an unhealthy 7, I mean, I get real mean. Yeah. I get deep and dirty. And
you're a fucking bitch.
It's true, though.
I'm allowed.
He's allowed because it's true. He's married to me. It's true. So once you understand where you are, then you're able to call each other out on your own bullshit. So Saturday, there was a lot of the emotion thing. So step 1 to do for personal development is figure out who the heck you are. Figure out what beliefs you have going. And if you don't know what that is, I would say just start with the Enneagram. Go see what type you are. Then compare to your spouse or whoever, or your kids, your family members. Just see what that dynamic is in the relationship, because we're always in relation to other people.
And there's always a dynamic.
Always
That's the
dynamic.
thing. So if you're fortunate enough to get along 100% with one person in your life, I personally don't believe that's a possibility, but it could be. It could be. I don't know how. On TV they tell us it could be. But if you have a person in your life that you're always 100% on board with everything this person is all about all of the time, like a doppelganger mirror image of yourself almost, that person doesn't really exist.
No.
There's always a dynamic. It's not just him and her or making a couple work.
Yeah.
There's this whole psychology behind it that broke down 9 different personalities, and it's like, okay, I see myself in there, I see her in there, and then I'm starting to look at my kids. I'm like, okay, that could, this is from what I know, and it's like, okay, well, now I have a better idea of what I'm dealing with here. But before you do the math kind of thing,
it's easy to just
you're guessing.
To get hurt. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the step 2 would be, so once you understand a little bit who you are and what drives you, step 2 would be, if you're in the fight, remove the emotions. Never fight emotions, because you'll never win. Why? Emotions are not freaking logical. They're not. Right? I mean, I know that there's certain times in the month where I am moody AF. And everybody irks me. It's nobody's problem.
When we fight, the emotion is always derived from pain.
Yes.
It's never funny. It's never light. It's never... There's nothing positive about fighting for the most part. It's a derivative from pain. And from pain is all this hurt and judgment and
scorekeeping. We'll go back in the past to grab, you did this to me 5 years ago, right? I know I could do that. It's horrible. Yeah. So when you fight emotion with emotion, nobody wins. It's a battle. It's a war, and nobody can come out alive.
There's somebody, if there's a win, then that means somebody got hurt to the point where somebody won. If somebody won the fight, that means the other person got hurt.
Exactly.
The other person
won.
There's only one winner of the war. Everybody else died.
So it's really coming to the state of you're fighting your states. You're fighting facts, but you're not coming at it from the emotional. You're removing the emotionality from it. So
easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
Way easier said than done. That's what this weekend
Saturday was
for
about.
us.
Saturday I was like,
I was late.
Was not good.
No. We're not claiming that we're
we're not pros.
We're not claiming that we figured it all out.
We're better at fighting, better at fighting.
We're just able to have one of those and then come on live TV and talk
be like, we gotta talk about this. But the thing is let's say if you did go do your Enneagrams, you guys both did your numbers. I find for me it's easier to say to Mark, yo, you're being an unhealthy 4 right now, or whatever, right? Yeah. I could throw it at him, and he could tell me you're being an unhealthy 1, right? Because based on our numbers,
but I'm not there yet. I'd call her a bitch.
Yeah. Stop it. we base from there. I'll tell him, you're being an unhealthy 8 right now. Like, stop it. And we call each other out on our numbers to know.
To make us realize, like, if one person is level-headed enough to, like, realize that this tool could be applied, then the other person will automatically realize, okay, I'm at the limit that the other person identified, and I need to, like that.
Lower it down.
So this is where the key comes from. Is we figured if we could look at this little Enneagram stuff and maybe be conscious and be voluntary into, like, finding out, then we're agreeing that we're both at least going to try to do something with this. And if one of us clues in that it's time to flag it.
Yeah, it kind of like flags it. It
kind
of like snaps us out of being,
because the one going through the emotion won't be like
tornado.
Super pissed off and be like, oh no, there's Enneagram theology need to be involved here.
So it always takes one to be more level-headed, just to pull the other one out, like snap them out, right? Because we can get caught in a spiral, and if you go in a spiral, it's like a friggin' tornado.
Yeah.
You're taking down everything. So I find for us, if we can call each other out on the BS, and that's saying, yo, you're you're acting like an unhealthy and related to the number that person is, it could be like a warning sign to be like, yo, or a flag or whatever, right? It's like an SOS, stop. Second thing, you take the emotionality out of it, but you can name the emotions that you notice in your partner. So if he's acting irritated or agitated, I can come at him and say, are you, I can ask him.
Are you irritated? Well, I am now. It's your little comment. It was fine until you asked me if I was irritated. Kicks me in the shin. You look pissed off.
Well, maybe because no, but it's about being able to try to mirror your partner and see where they're at. Another thing that we like to do is we'll say, what's the story in your head? Because the thing is like Saturday, we both had a story in our head
instead
that was the same.
Instead of just asking what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
What's the story?
What's the story? Because as humans, we like stories. We like beginnings, middles, and ends. And if there's a piece of information missing, we will create it.
And don't be ashamed of getting caught with a story in your head. That's just
everybody
the
does
human
it.
brain.
We're meaning-making machines. That's what we do. So the thing is like sometimes it's hard. So like Saturday, example, we both had a story in our head that was pretty much the same, but we didn't talk about it. We acted on it. So usually when we're fighting smarter, one of us will say, cards on the table, like, what is the story in your head? And then that gives permission to the other person to say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm processing. And it gives permission to the other person to say, oh, right? Then we get to see, oh. And often, it's not even what we think. It's always worse in our heads. So if it's worse in our heads and we put it on the table, then we can address it. And from that, I've said often to Mark, who would you be without that thought? I love Byron Katie. You do the inquiry. Who would you be without that thought? Like, right? If you're thinking that I think you're not good enough for me, or I don't appreciate you, then you're going to act in that. You're going to act in that role.
Without that thought, generally speaking, you'll be happier.
Yes, right? Because if you think, like Saturday, I had the same thing. I'm not good enough for you, and I don't do enough for you. Like, we get caught in those self-martyrdom things. It's human nature. And we both had these
are all
things
ideas running in your head,
in my
the
head,
background.
And
This wasn't a verbal.
No, we didn't discuss it.
Back and forth kind of thing.
So because we both didn't discuss it and it was in our heads, we were acting out of it. That's where the action comes, right? So it's not the emotions that drive you, it's the belief about the emotion. It's what you think, it's what you put behind those emotions. So if we both think we're not enough, how do you think we're going to act? We're going to act like we're not enough, right? And he was hurt and he went for a drive, and I was like, see, he's leaving, right? Like, it was just, right? And you see
just
how
like
that
the abandoning bastard he is.
You can see, you can see how that fuels those emotions. It just makes it worse. Whereas if we're able to say, this is the story in my head right now, then it allows permission for your partner, and you hold space for them, no judgment. You're not to tell your partner that they're wrong for thinking that they're bad for being like no, you hold space.
That's a tough one for a lot of couples too.
Yes.
Right?
you have to hold space because it's not about you. Even if they're saying that it's about you, it's not about you. It's a story they have in their head about the situation. So you hold space, and then you can call them out on it and say, well, who would you be without that thought? Or, you know, and you could build on that. So step one.
Takes a lot of practice to do that.
Step
a lot
one,
of fighting.
A lot of fighting. You get better at fighting. And because we're humans, we can practice.
We fought a lot. Holy shit, we fought a lot.
Yes, we've had some heavy, in 21 years, there's going to be lots.
Yeah, we did a lot of fighting.
You got to figure out who you guys are as people individually. Then figure out as a couple. That's why we recommend the Enneagram, because once you know your types, you type in what your number is in relation to the other number. And I tell you, when we read ours together, oh my God, it's like we could have saved so many years of pain and struggles. But personal growth, whatever. Step 2, you take the emotions out of it. Step 3, ask what the story in the head is. Like what is the story? And ask yourself, what is the story in my head right now, right? Sometimes it's about being brave and saying right now, even if it's like in the middle of a screaming match, you just say, yo, the story in my head right now. That is going to snap your partner out to hold space for you. And if it doesn't, the next thing I would say is to change your physiological state. When you're angry, what do? You clamp up, you're not breathing, you want to yell. Why do we yell? Because we feel like we're not heard. If you change your state to talk lower, to take bigger breaths, I will physically touch Mark. I feel like the minute I touch him, he's not going to be so closed off because I'm holding him. This is like a physical reminder, I'm on your team, right? Although when he tries to do it to me and I'm in a bitchy mood,
that's
doesn't always
That's because
work.
we're not the same. We don't react the same.
We don't.
To
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
I react good to touch because
that's you're at number 2 and your love language.
But I'll want to do that to you because of that's what I understand.
Because it's his love language.
That's right. So you learned that. You learned what I need.
Yeah.
So when I need it, you give it to me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the positive reaction happens right away.
And then for myself, well, I just need you to support and validate me.
Yeah.
So then if you can kind of like get on board with me, then I don't feel like I'm abandoned or whatever it is, right? So we all have little traumas. We all have stories, narratives that don't serve us, but there are coping mechanisms. There are survival patterns, and that's what's kept us alive for so long. And in a relationship, as you grow and evolve, because we're not the same people at all.
No.
As you grow and evolve,
nor should anybody be.
No. But as you're growing and evolving as a couple, both individually and as a couple, it's okay to call each other out. So Mark, I love when he does, he's like, sorry, that was the old Mark, right? That was the old me. So that's acknowledging that.
Well, that's the guy that I'm working on.
That's acknowledging that those patterns no longer, those survival patterns are not serving me anymore.
Yeah.
I'm looking at better coping mechanisms. And we have those messy conversations.
See, that's what I notice about you. I would be more like this is the guy that I'm working. Like this is not who I'm striving to be anymore. And you're like, that's the old me. You've already.
She's gone.
Yeah, you've already. And sometimes she'll sneak back in.
Yes. And then I'll be like, that wasn't my heart.
That wasn't. Yeah. So whatever. It's. Know that if you're
nobody's
not,
perfect.
There's no personal growth without believing that the old you has to go away somewhere.
And when the old you puffs back up, that is going to be based on those really, really core beliefs, right? And like that's where a lot of the pain is. It's like, so this is where you have to really decipher. And then the next thing I was going to say, I forgot.
What? I wanted to say something else about the old you. So the old you would heavily stem from your childhood.
Yes.
So
we all have a childhood.
Yeah. So and nobody like that partner or person you're with that understands you 100% and will support you 100% of the time. That person that person doesn't exist.
No.
So the childhood without pain doesn't exist. It's almost no. It's almost like we hunt for it. We need it. You do need it. I think I would say
we all are gonna. We don't get out of childhood alive.
I would say I would say that being happy 100% of the time is not a good thing.
It's not.
I don't think that would be a good thing.
No.
I think we live in a society now that we believe that would be the ideal conditions for childhood, but I don't think it would be. I think that would negatively impact the reality of someone's understanding of life.
Yeah.
You need to be sad as a child. What you perceive, what you do with that sadness is going to create the foundations of what kind of adult you're going to be later on. Now what you decide to do with that will you're not alone for this. If you have proper guidance in your life, adults that at least believe they know better, then you'll have that extra thought process in the background helping you grow up as a kid. That's where parents' roles come into play, and the teachers and all the peers, all the adult peers that all the kids have. Those are all supposed to be positive influences to help the child have different views and opinions on what they're feeling right now, or different ways to interpret their feelings. But if you have the kind of childhood that doesn't have a lot of that happening, then you'll make your own decision for yourself, and you could potentially stay with that for 30, 40 years.
Well, they say the healthiest people are the ones who are the most emotionally resilient and intelligent, in that they live all the emotions. So you have to allow, and when you look at all the emotions, there are only 9 core emotions. All the other emotions come from these emotions. So you have to understand that you have to, as a human, we're meant to go through certain pains and struggles. That's what shape us, and how we choose to show up in our story based on these things guide us, right? They don't have to be our identity, but it helps you grow. So 100%. And I feel like we grew up, from when I grew up, we didn't really talk about emotions, right? So I love that we're becoming more aware with all this, personal development and stuff. We're talking more about emotions, because emotions are huge. We are emotional beings who deal with our emotions less than 1% of the time. So I think the world would be a much better, healthier place if we addressed a lot of these emotional things and taught more emotional resilience to our kids, right? Not solve their problems, but be like, okay, you're feeling this feel right now. Okay. Feelings are never logical. They're invitations to go deeper, because the first emotion you feel is not the real one. It's like the surface. It's like blocking the deep one. You gotta dig.
It's like a prehistoric. It's like a not prehistoric, but like a pre. As a foundation emotion there, you know what I mean?
Like the core.
Yeah, emotions. Like it's like a dinosaur version of your evolved self that could potentially be of as far as emotion goes. So you would be like, it's a happy or sad core one, and then you kind of build off of that. So if it's a sad, angry, like pissed off, these are all if it's like an extreme sad would be like an angry or crazy, mad kind of thing. To get back to just regular sad, it's a lot to do.
A lot.
So what you have to do is try to find out what your triggers are to not even go there if you can, and then
like if you do go there, like just to do the work about why you're there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
think if you're like crazy, get help. You're not gonna. There's no time to think.
No.
Right.
And I think
you have to like kind of live through it. The person, if you're like if I get like that with you, you have to be of wit enough to know that it's something. Now I've created the call of wanting space here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like for me there, I'm not gonna stay here and fight and demean you and make you cry and you know what I mean? Like if I leave now.
Yeah.
If I feel like I'm hurt so much that there's nothing positive that can come out of it in the next 5 minutes, I'm out.
You go take air.
I'm gonna take some air. Yeah. Because I know that's what I need to do when I come back.
Yes, and that's important.
For me, that's the way. No, for sure. But for me, that's what I've decided for myself to.
It's like help. Part of your coping, whereas I'll like follow and be like, we're not done. But anyways, what's important though is when you do come back. So it is awesome to take space, to have that self-reflection, to know, okay, I need that space. But you need to come back, and you need to be brave enough to stay in the messy. So the messy to us means you need to allow your partner to share what the story in their head is and not take it personal, because it's not about you. So you stay in the messy, you strip all the emotions from it, and you help your partner. So there's a way to like help heal each other, and also on an individual level, right? That's how you fight smarter.
That's how you fight smarter.
We should write a book. We probably will.
Fight smarter.
Fight smarter with the Brisos. But yeah, so that's, I mean, I don't know if there's any questions. Hey, Noella's on.
Yeah, I know.
I saw Mitch. Hey, Mitch. Well, we love you guys too. I'm not sure if Instagram has any questions, but again, we're not professionals. We're just sharing from our own personal experience.
They know we're not professionals.
They know.
We don't look like goddamn professionals.
I'm wearing we swear like truckers. But also know, I have this strong desire to talk about a lot of the messier parts of life to help normalize and neutralize things, because I feel like things like mental health and that, if we were to address them like as human concepts, there would be no stigma. People would not feel so alone. And I'm just driven to share a lot of deeper stuff. I just need a lot more. I need permission from certain things, from certain people to share more, but because you're not alone. And oftentimes that's the worst feeling, is feeling alone. And I know what it's like to feel alone, and I would not want that on anybody. But the reality is, there's probably some of you out there right now feeling like you're alone. And a marriage, I feel, can be the loneliest place to live, because you're married, right? And if you're not having
can't be lonely.
Yeah. And because if it's not a healthy relationship where you're both working to grow and evolve, both as individuals and as a couple, it can for sure feel like the loneliest place. And that is often where the troubles will come in, where you're going to start looking at the greener grass on the other side, because one, they water it, or two, it's fake.
It's the good manure.
It's the manure. I love it. You're awesome. So I don't.
Grass is greener because it's lined with bush.
Yes, communication is key. The Grams got it. Communication is key, and it's coming from a place of compassion, which is hard when you're in a heated discussion. I really want to love you right now,
that's why it's
but
important.
I don't like you.
That's why it's important to try to practice it on your off day, like on your when you're not fighting. So every breath that you're not fighting, you should have it in your daily routine to be your best self. That's the only way to progress here. It's just practice being a better person while you're happy, while you're level-headed.
Yeah.
Be the best partner you can be while all of this is happening. If you can pull that off more often than not, now you're moving forward.
Yeah. And it's it's as human beings, we're constantly given opportunities to practice. So be kind on yourself, like if it didn't go as you wanted to. So it's going to take a lot of practice. I mean, like I said, we've done counseling both individually and as couples, and there's been times that the counselor, I'd be like, I feel like he's just changing because I want him to change, right? Like, I mean, all these things, and then he was like, what if I just want to change? Like, what do you want?
You wanted the genie in the bottle.
I wanted the genie in the bottle. It's like, fix this. I feel like it's broken. But yeah, just get real with each other. Have the messy conversations. I'm addicted to personal development. I'm kind of like a junkie, but also application is key. If you don't apply what you're learning, then you just get frustrated and you keep looking for the next best thing. So integrate what you're learning, share it with your spouse, be open-minded. It's all about growth mindset. You can change, you can be better. Not for your partner, but just for yourself. And by you bettering yourself, you become a better partner. Yeah. And then you become a better parent, a better friend.
A better couple.
The world is a better place. The more we practice personal development, I honestly think
it's the only way to do it.
I honestly think if people were to put a lot more effort into their own personal growth.
Be selfish.
there
if
would
everybody
probably
would be selfish,
less wars, less divorces, less depressed people. There would be a lot less sadness in the world if people were to get real with themselves.
Think more about themselves all of the time for everything in their life. We're not talking about personal acquisitions.
Oh, thank you.
It's everything you do.
You guys
for
are awesome too. We do this because we love you, and we're going to start sharing a lot more deep stuff because life. But talking about life, I don't know if there's any questions. If you have questions, leave them below. Sorry, Graham, this only lives for about 24 hours. Maybe I'll put it on YouTube. But Facebook, if you have any questions, leave them here. Say hey, share it. If there's anything that we spoke to you that you enjoyed, can I talk? Share it. Can I talk? Share it with those you love. Share it. Just share it or share it in private, whatever. Yeah. That's it. Now we're going to go do real life because we got to get our boys to bed.
Yeah.
Got to parent now. Parenting.
That's code for sex, right?
You know it. They're going to bed. All right, guys. We love you lots. Peace, love. Salut. Okay, so this is Facebook. Bye.